Good evening. I'm Naricia Johnson. I am a certified life coach, and this evening we will be presenting to you a documentary on sexual trauma. The term sexual violence is an all-encompassing term that refers to crimes like sexual assault, rape, and sexual abuse. Sexual assault can take many different forms and be defined in different ways, but one thing remains the same. It's never the victim's fault. There is child sexual abuse, sexual assault of men and boys. Today, I will follow the stories of two young men, Seberic Johnson and Antoine Davison, who are survivors of sexual trauma in their lives. Good evening. I'm Naricia Johnson, and I'm your life coach for this evening. Seberic, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, I'm Seberic Johnson, a native of Columbus, Georgia. Ventured out a little bit back in '99. I moved to Virginia on a music contract. However, that's not what God saw fit, for to be my life plan. So I moved back to Columbus, and I started working for Coca-Cola about 9 years ago. My story started when I was about 5. I was molested by a woman, and I grew up with a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. As I got older, learning what actually happened to me. So I began to get angry, and I set out to take from every woman what was taken from me. And here we are today.
Let me ask you a question. What age did the sexual abuse begin?
It started when I was 5, and I was actually attending Sunday service every Sunday.
How long did the abuse continue?
About a year, as far as I can remember. About a year or so.
Let me ask you something. Why did you want to take it out on other women, what you had gone through?
Well, one thing that I've learned over the course of time is that hurt people. And as I grew up and found out what was taken from me, I just set out to have revenge, so to speak, and do that to as many people as I could.
At what age did you make that determination or set out to do that?
I was about 17.
17. What are some of the things you did, negative or positive, to cope with the abuse then and now?
Then I wanted to mentally get in people's head, and basically control their minds, control their lives, control anything possible. And that's how I felt like I coped with it. I just nothing was stable. I wanted more and more and more. And it was like a sensation. Every time you could get another woman, I felt a sense of accomplishment. And somewhere along the lines, I started to actually get a serious relationship with God. I got tired of being that way. And I wanted to know, what was it? How can I change? How can I be a different person? And I began to study 1 Corinthians chapter 13.
Okay.
And I believe I read that every day for about 6 months before it actually even made sense. And that started the pattern for the change.
Okay. Did the women in that went through that with you know what you were doing, or did you ever have a discussion with them to get them to understand why you were treating them in such a way?
They never had a clue.
They never had a clue.
No.
So how did the abuse you experienced as a child impact? So that's how it impacted you with relationships to other adults,
Right.
be it men or women, or just women.
Just women.
Just women. Okay. The person who did the abuse to you, have you seen that person ever again?
Actually, when I moved back to Columbus in 2001, I was just stopping at a little convenience store trying to get some snacks. And when I walked into the store, I grabbed my little drink and something to snack on. And when I got to the counter, I really wasn't paying attention. And when I looked up, I saw her. And she looked a lot older than she actually was. And I'll never forget the look in her eyes. And that's what made me know it was her.
Have you forgiven her?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Have you ever had a conversation with her since?
I have not seen her since that day.
Since that day. Okay. So if you said you were face to face with her, but you didn't say anything to her.
No.
You just realized that's who that person was.
Yes.
What type of feeling did you have at that moment? Did it trigger back to what you had gone through?
Yes.
With her?
It triggered I mean, so many flashes just kept. It was like when you are typing an email address in a computer, once you hit enter and you see all the things at the top of the screen going back and forth,
Right.
That's what it felt like. All these images were going back to the fact that she was a family friend, the fact that I was seeing images of what happened every Sunday. I was seeing what she taught me. I was just seeing so many things, women that flashed through my mind. I mean, I really just, whew.
Did you have anger at that moment when you saw her?
Probably.
You don't know for sure.
I can't say.
Okay. Did anyone else in your family have any idea what you were going through?
No.
No one? You never told anyone?
Most of the people in my family to this day still don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you said you have forgiven her.
Yes.
At what point did you forgive her? Was it when you started reading Corinthians for those 6 months?
It was after I forgiven myself.
Okay.
And found out that I really did not do anything at that age. I was young and innocent, but for so long I asked the question, what did I do to deserve it?
So why did you not, up until now, talk to anybody about it? What made you keep it to yourself? Was it shame? What prevented you from discussing it or telling it? Was your mother living at the time?
Yes.
And you didn't say anything to her?
No.
Was it a friend of hers?
No, it was a friend of my sister's.
Okay.
I just have always been a private person.
Okay.
So there are many things that I just never make public, and that was guaranteed to be one of them.
All right. And so if you could write a letter to your 5-year-old self, what would you say?
Number one, that it's going to be okay. You're going to travel down some roads that won't make sense. But as you grow up and mature, you're going to see that you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't deserve it. But there's life on the other side.
Amen to that. So you realize that through the abuse, you now have, do you feel that you have a normal life? Do you feel that you can love and not cause, in a sense, abuse other women because of what you've gone through? Do you think you can have a healthy relationship in spite of what you've gone through? Since you've forgiven that person and you've moved on and you've aged, do you think that there's an opportunity or that you'll allow yourself to love without going back to your past?
There's definitely an opportunity for that. I've made an effort, but per my last relationship, as you mature, you still kind of see things about yourself. Things eventually come up. And in that relationship, I saw some things that were still damaging that I needed to, just take care of. So I've been single for about the last almost 7 years, because I set goals for myself.
Okay.
I wanted to become a better man, a better father, and a better man of God.
Okay. How many children do you have?
I have 8 boys and 4 girls.
Do you think the children are a product of what you were going through?
Definitely.
In what way?
Oftentimes I see myself,
Mm-hmm.
we see ourselves in our kids. But I don't think, from what I've seen thus far, they didn't get that side
Okay.
of, but everybody has their own pattern
True.
and their own way that they're going to travel, their path. But I know that my job is to, no matter what, be an influence, an impact, and let them know that I'm here without judgment.
Okay. What advice would you give to victims of sexual abuse who are afraid to tell someone? Because you mentioned you didn't tell anybody.
Right.
And for your own reasons, you just didn't. You were a private person.
Right.
Do you recommend that someone tell someone before now? I mean, as your age, or?
Yes. I would really say it is imperative to get it out.
Okay.
The longer you hold it in, the more it beats you up, the more it drains you, the more it turns you into a person that you do not want to be. And also, as you begin to release it, especially the older you get, you find out you wind up reaching people that most people can't ever reach. There's just something about you and there's something about the way you carry yourself on this side of it that is very appealing to them. They may not know why they're, drawn to you, but you have the ability to help them journey through it because it's not easy to get through by yourself.
Do you think that this could be generational for your children?
No.
It's hard. Okay, you don't. It's hard to keep your eyes on your kids 24/7.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason I say no is because in my getting my, in my relationship with God getting stronger, I have come against every single curse that was passed down to me, that started with me. I've been praying for years, just coming against all of those negative seeds that were sown.
All right. And though you went through that and you realized there were negative seeds, this is not part of that.
No.
It's not a part of that. But you know it exists.
Yes.
Okay. So we know that through counseling and coaching and therapy that there is healing in the end. And you have to want it. You have to look in the mirror and examine yourself and realize this is who I am. This is what I've gone through. This is my journey. It may not sound good, but God allowed some things to happen for whatever reason.
Right.
And because of those reasons, here you are today. Now, though you're here today and you've not told anybody over all these years, why now?
To answer that, the question came to my mind, why not now?
Okay.
You've been silent so long. It's just time to break the silence. As I look through this whole pandemic and everything, there's just so much more coming out, and people need help.
True.
They need someone that they can pull from, someone they can draw from, confide in. And number one, as a male, as a father, as a black man who allowed himself to become a statistic, even that part, when I was 5, I had nothing to, had no control.
Right.
But as I got older, I allowed myself to become a statistic with, getting in trouble with the law and things like that. And I just said, man, there was one time I got locked up. When that jail cell closed, it was like a light went on. And, it was like, boom. And I said, I don't want my kids to be anything like me.
Wow.
And that day, I actually just said, this is it. It stops here. I got to do something.
Okay.
And so it was a start that just has been going, sky high ever since.
Do you think that beyond this point, you do recommend that counseling or coaching is necessary for anyone that has gone through trauma, abuse, rape, or whatever, that it is necessary? And we as a people, Black people, do not like to talk to people because
Right.
we don't like to open up. We don't like to let our truth be known. But over time, the pandemic has had a lot of us to stop and look in the mirror at ourselves. And we realize that this is your journey. We all have a journey. We all gone through something. But we realize that we can be healed
Right.
through anything that we go through. But it's our mindset that makes the difference.
Correct.
It's how long you're going to allow yourself to stay 5 years old.
Correct.
It's how long that you're going to hold on to anger. How long are you going to continue to abuse other females, hurt them because of your hurt?
Right.
And then when you get to that point where you've decided enough is enough, then you're in your healing process. And you'll get wherever it is that you're trying to go.
Right.
Only God knows your journey. Only God knows the end. The prayer is that you be completely healed.
And that's interesting, because I didn't get the counseling per se. What helped start my transformation along, different seeds were sown, seeds of greatness and
Right.
and things of that nature, because my birth mother passed, and at that time at the hospital, my stepmother at that time, Ann Hardman, came to me and said, if you will allow me, I want to be your mother.
Praise God.
And at that time, I was like, lady, you got to be crazy. You got some big shoes to fill. And it was crazy because I had been hurt at my young age by a woman. And then all of a sudden, God put me in this position to be under the leadership of a woman.
Okay. Let me ask you something. Your mother was living when you were 5,
Yes.
but you didn't have any anger towards her?
No.
None, even though she was a woman. Okay. It's interesting. Anything else that you want to share? I could go on for days.
I'm wide
Okay.
open.
All right.
I don't mind.
I want you to think about what you've done to other women and the hurt you endured. You wanted them to feel the pain as well. Think about your daughters. And think about if someone abused them in such a manner because of their hurt and pain. It's something to think about. It's something to pray about.
Right.
Because though you were hurt, the pain that you placed on someone else was hurtful, and you have to give an account for that sooner
Yes.
or later if you haven't already. But I want you to be mindful that all that you endure, it may not happen the same way for your children,
Right.
but they are your seed.
Correct.
Okay? And just always keep in mind that through your healing, they've got to always be covered. They've got to always, because sometimes what we go through will repeat itself. Okay? It'll repeat itself. And you don't want your daughters especially to go through what the women went through that were in your life. Then on top of that, you wouldn't want your sons to go through that either. So I'm going to ask you this question. No one knows about this until now. Okay? When they see this, are you going to have, or prior to this, are you going to have a conversation with your children?
I've actually already begun
Okay.
with that.
All right.
Even before I came to this recording,
All right.
I briefly talked to my youngest 3. I have custody of them. I talked to them, briefly about it and the things that their dad went through. And years prior to this, I went to all my kids' mothers and I apologized.
Awesome.
Because I realized that my kids had started reaping from the things that I had imparted into their mothers.
Right.
So I went to the mothers first and was like, hey, everything that I've ever done to you, any wrongdoings, any lies, any, whatever, I openly repent to you.
Okay.
Um,
That's a part of your healing process.
Right.
We have to go back and apologize for that we've done. And
Right.
knowingly, well, you knew what you were doing.
Yes.
But you did it anyway. And then through that, through your hurt, you hurt them, but your children end up being a product of whatever.
Yeah.
And so now they're here.
And that's one of the biggest things that I wish I had done differently. I don't live life with regrets. And I wouldn't trade being their father for anything in the world.
That's awesome.
I do wish that I had done it differently from the aspect of they now have to grow up. They had to grow up without their father
Right.
always in the home. I grew up without father in the home. So I didn't want that for my kids. Unfortunately, I created a situation where I couldn't be in all the places.
Okay, and that's because of the abuse that you encountered or went through at the age of 5.
Right. And it added on because I grew up without my father, so I suffered from rejection.
Okay.
So I had a lot of, childhood things that didn't make sense at the time until you get older, you start to mature. My mother made sure I was in church. At that time I was just in church.
Right.
But I do realize that the Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he's older, he won't depart from it. But the thing that stood out to me is it says train as a child. And when he's older, it said nothing about the years in between.
All right.
So that's the time we're going to go out. We're going to venture out. We're going to do all these things and start realizing, hey, man, when you start maturing, everything that was poured into you as a child starts to come back.
It does, and it does come back.
It does.
It does come back.
And that's what happened for me.
I had another question I was going to ask you, and I just lost it. I just lost it. I'm not sure. You went through this at the age of 5, and you chose not to say anything to anyone until now. You're telling your story. Mm-hmm. And because of it, you hurt other women because you were hurt. I still find that I don't know what that hurt was supposed to do to them, unless it gave you some kind of fulfillment.
It did.
Oh, it did.
It was like a game. I started doing what I call the lion syndrome. Lions, when they're, with the female, they have her attention and this and that. They wander off into the jungle.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, when another lion comes and starts paying that, the female some attention, he comes back from the jungle and he comes on real strong. Yes. And he's like, oh no, you're the one for me, this and that, until he wards him off. And then when he's got her attention again, he goes back out into the jungle.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I would have, so to speak, a main one. Mm-hmm. And then I ventured out and just go do all of this stuff. And sometimes bring rewards from those back to this one.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you apologize to all those whom you caused pain to? Not just the children's mother, but the females in your life. When you want to truly heal and really look in the mirror and be pleased at who you see in spite of your journey, you've got to apologize or repent or do something when it comes to those women. Do you feel it might be necessary, or that you go back to them and say, I am sorry? They may not understand what you're doing, right, but God does. And you do.
And
you're smiling here.
Because it's that answer, if I could actually do that, I would.
Okay.
However, there are far too many to even remember.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, at least you're honest.
Yeah,
at least you're honest. Are you telling me you don't remember all of them?
There's no way possible.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, I have asked you many questions, and do you want to share anything else with me? I would recommend that you continue therapy, coaching, counseling, or something. Now that you finally opened up, your healing is not complete yet, but I think you know that. I think you're in the process and you're on a very good road. Mm-hmm. And when we start opening up our lives for the world to hear and see, it makes a difference. But there will be a lot of questions coming now.
Right.
A lot more questions out of naysayers or whatever, and wondering why you just waited till now to say something. So I just want to recommend and pray that you continue the process and find someone that you feel comfortable with to talk to, whether it's a coach, a counselor, or a therapist. All right, and God bless you in your journey, your future journey, and your healing, most of all, through the trauma that you've gone through sexually. Okay, God bless you.
God bless you.
I wish monsters really hid in my closet and under my bed. My monster bears a familiar face. I recognize their voice when my name is said. They've sat at my Thanksgiving table. Many of Novembers even preached the sermon at church. They called me to their lap when Mama walked out the door for work. I could even call them friend, because when we played this secret game, they always let me win. Fishing trips at the lake, supplied me with my favorite candy and chips, gently placed their finger on my lips. Ever been in the middle of nowhere just so you wouldn't be present? Oh, and the presence. My monster spared no expense, keeping me with the best. What's the new bed for when you can't even rest? I lay shaking, watching the doorknob turn, knowing it's my turn. And every time it burned, ripped, tore. I couldn't understand why he married my mama when it seemed like he wanted me more. Consent slept in the next room, but violation fed his core. And someone had to notice that I wasn't the same. Maybe my body developing too fast was to blame. And something had to be wrong with me, because I was always the target. Mama didn't understand why I never wanted to stay at Aunt Margaret. The smell of her favorite perfume would make me sick. And I would jump when I heard the door locks click. I was confused because I was a girl. She'd tell me how pretty my dress was as she make me twirl. Her hands would disappear from my sight, and I could feel her nails gripping my tights. My monsters aren't a figment of my imagination. See, your realization that the pile of clothes on the chair can't hurt you allows you to sleep at night. My monsters startle me in the darkness, and even when the sun is shining bright. There is no set time for them to devour my body and mind. God, why would you give life to monsters of this kind? Your mama opens the closet door to assure you that no monsters are there. My mama asked my monsters to pull up a chair. Broke my innocence, now he's breaking bread. Having to respect my elder even though I wish he were dead. Maybe I'm fast like Mama and Auntie said, because what other reason would a grown man think it's okay to sneak in my bed? And I swore I saw Mama's shadow underneath the crack of the door. How could she not hear my cries as she paced the hallway floor? And every morning after it would happen, she wouldn't say a word to him at breakfast. She slammed the door upon exit. We shared this silent bond. My silence was because I didn't want the embarrassment known. Hers because she didn't want to be alone. I was a prisoner in my own home, and I'd never be the same. Even as a grown woman, I couldn't escape the shame. And my children don't understand why they can't leave my sight, and why, like other children with friends, they can't spend the night. And I know I make them uncomfortable with the questions that I ask, but I want to make sure their smiles are real and not just a mask. They don't know what weekends at grandma feels like, or going outside with grandpa to fly a kite. I will protect them because no one protected me. Even when the truth was revealed, they didn't believe. I will defeat my predators if it's the last thing I do. I will conquer everything they put me through. I am not a victim. I am a survivor. I am a fighter, not a statistic, advocating remaining optimistic. No one can stop me, not even the devil in hell. I am the voice of the voiceless, and I will prevail.
Good evening. I am Naricia Johnson, your life coach for the evening, and I'm also an ordained minister. So, Antoine, I would like for you to share with us your story, and then we'll proceed.
Well, my name is Antoine. I am an actor and founder of Antoine Bartending Services. And I am a survivor of sexual trauma. I actually was 5 when it happened by a cousin. It happened for 2 years, from 5 to 7. He was 14, and it ended when he was 16.
continue. Anything else?
So, with that, it always happened at my grandmother's house. My grandma would be asleep, and he would do anything to me. When I say anything, he didn't never penetrate, but it was always oral, and he was on top of me, and he did other things too as well, kissing and all that.
Okay. Anything else about your story you'd like to share?
Not right now.
Okay. So you said that the sexual abuse began when you were 5 years old
Yes.
by a cousin who was much older than you at the time.
Right.
And so it continued, what, for 2 years, you said?
Correct.
For 2 years. And you did not say anything to anyone?
No.
Why not? At age 5. But
For one, every time he succeeded, when I say he got done, he would whisper in my ear and tell me, "Don't tell nobody."
okay.
So at that age, you're 5,
Yeah.
and you think you're gonna get a whooping.
Mm-hmm.
So if I gotta go tell my mom, or if I gotta tell somebody, for one, I didn't want to tell my mom because I know how my mom was. You
Okay.
know, she may look, she's a nice person, but you hear that your child is getting that happen to them. How you gonna react? I didn't want to see my mom in jail.
Okay. At what time, or let me ask you this, how has the abuse you experienced as a child impacted your relationships as an adult now?
I would say bad. I can sum it up like that. Bad. With relationship with people in general, and relationship with lovers.
Okay, you say lovers. What does that mean, lovers?
Men.
Men, okay?
Multiple men.
Multiple men.
Yes.
All right. When did you, okay, so your abuse, your trauma affected your masculinity.
Right.
All right. At what age did you realize that it was affecting your masculinity? When did you accept that fact? Or when did you know, first of all, that it was?
I would say I was 17. I was just fit to be a senior in high school.
Okay.
I was a virgin. I wasn't doing what everybody was doing out here doing. I was worrying
Okay.
about the books.
All right. So from 5 to 17, you had no encounters. But did you know between that time that your masculinity was being affected?
Right. I was confused.
You were confused.
Whether I liked the boys or whether I liked the girls. I had crushes on girls. I had crushes on boys.
Okay.
But when it got to high school, that's when it just went there.
Okay. Though you didn't address it then, between those ages, did those around you, were they able to tell that there was a difference in you, not knowing your story? Were they able to tell?
No, because I didn't show it.
You didn't show it.
I always kept girls around me. I always just say, "Oh yeah, we
Okay, so you just acted like everything was normal for you at that time. All right, so what are some things you did, negative or positive, to cope with the abuse then and now?
For one, I was borderline alcoholic, and I went into the arms of different men because I was raised, I had a father, but I wanted to have my biological father in my life, and he was not in my life. He actually found out about me when I was 13.
Found your existence?
Yes.
Okay.
And to this day, the relationship is not good.
Is it because of you? Is it because of your abuse? Or it's just the relationship itself?
It's because I know it's because of my sexuality, and I know it's other personal things. Because I was trying to have a meeting with him face to face. I had that meeting with him face to face. It actually didn't go too good.
Okay, let me ask you this. Was the meeting to address your sexuality?
The meaning was to stop the madness. The meaning was to try to build a relationship with him. I'm 31 years old.
Right.
We all have lost someone in 2020, and life is too short to, to be trying to hold all this, because I know hate is a bad word to say, and out of all my whole life, him and my perpetrator, those are the two people in my life that I can basically say go to hell.
Well, let me ask you this: the perpetrator, have you forgiven them? Do you see the perpetrator? Have you seen that person?
I avoid the perpetrator.
So they still exist.
The perpetrator still exists.
Are you ever around them in family gatherings?
No, because I don't go to family gatherings.
Okay. So have you forgiven the perpetrator?
No, I haven't.
And you haven't forgiven your father for whatever?
His situation, my father, that is done.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. You have anger.
Right.
To this day. Mm-hmm. It's obvious. When you talk about it, it comes out. So if you were to encounter your perpetrator face to face at this moment, what would you say? Or would you say anything? Or would you ignore that person? Because it sounds like to me you don't go to family gatherings, I guess, for the sake of not seeing that person.
Right.
All right. And so what would you say if you saw that person? If you had no other choice and you were confronted and you had to deal with it, what would you say?
I just want to know why. Why did you choose me out of all of them? And you had other kids to do, but you just chose me to do it too. And what was you thinking? Because it's to the point of people don't understand. Like, I've been judged. I'm misunderstood. And the thing is that I have had dreams of this man still on top of me as an adult.
Wow.
And I normally don't, I used to not talk about it. Like, when people used to ask, they used to ask me, why are you gay? And I never could, tell them the reason why.
Do you feel that the abuse is the reason why you are?
Yes.
You do. Okay. You have not forgiven the person. You have a lot of anger at this point at your father for reasons and for the perpetrator for reasons. And your anger comes from not knowing the whys of your story. And so why now do you decide to tell you? Did anybody know this prior to now?
No, the first person I told was one of my friends. She's a high school friend, and I was borderline to where I wanted to end my life, and nobody didn't know that. I would send her messages and tell her I don't want to be here anymore.
What age?
I was 18.
Okay.
I was in my room. At that time, they didn't know. I didn't come out until I was 20.
Does your mother know?
My mother knows.
Does she know the incident? The
person?
Knows. Okay.
She knows the person.
All right. And she hasn't addressed that person?
She has, but I just feel like the family act like it never happened, and they just sweep it under the rug.
Did your mother sweep it under the rug?
No, but my mama, she can be around him, and I'd be like, how can you be around him? And he done this,
Right.
I'm not, that's her.
Right.
And I'm not, judging her for that and everything. But I just can't be around somebody that I don't like.
Okay.
To me, that's fake.
All right. But your mother, you're saying that the family has a tendency to act like it didn't happen and shrug it up under the rug.
And some of the family still don't know.
Okay. But I want to know, when it comes to your mom, how do you feel when she's around that person? Is there anger in you during that time when you know she's been around this person and she goes on like she accepts it? Does it build up anger for you?
To the point right now, I really don't care.
Okay. All right. if you were able to write the story to your 5-year-old self, what would you say?
For one, why did this happen? And you are a bubbly person, even at the age of 5. People wanted to be around you, but someone took your innocence and your manhood, basically.
But I need to know, what would you tell another person who has been abused at this point? What would you recommend? What advice would you give to someone who has gone through what you've gone through? And in the midst of that, their sexual whatever has to be explained. If you had an identity problem for a while, you had to.
Right.
You didn't know whether you liked men or whether you liked women. And then when you decided you liked men, then you had to deal with that. So what would you recommend for someone who's gone through what you've gone through?
I would first tell them to tell someone.
Okay.
Tell someone.
Right.
Either it don't even have to be your parents right now. Tell a friend.
Okay.
Or go to counseling.
All right.
Seek therapy. Because I never understood, and I want you, put your input. I never understood when I see people commit suicide, and I always heard, "Oh, you're being selfish because you gotta leave. You leaving your family, with that hurt." Mm-hmm. But the thing is that I was hurt through the whole process.
Everybody does not know.
Right.
So when that does, or if it had happened, you would have left a lot of people bewildered as to why, because your why was not necessarily told. It's like when we as Black people go through something, and we were raised that whatever goes on at home stays at home. And basically that's what you did. Everybody, okay, this happened, but we're going to just we're going to shut it up under the rug, and we're not going to worry about it. Either they believed that it happened or they didn't believe that it happened. You have not, because of your anger, you cannot be healed yet. Mm-hmm. Your healing is not there yet because you have so much anger in you to the point where there are tears. That means, have you forgiven yourself for what has happened? You need to look in the mirror and analyze who you are. You're a bubbly person. You're a nice person. You're a wonderful person. Okay? Your masculinity is gone. You are a whole different person. But you've got to love yourself for who you are. When your healing becomes, or when it comes, when you really have forgiven yourself, you have to forgive you. And I don't know if you've forgiven yourself. It wasn't your fault. You were a victim. You were a victim of what happened. So you didn't do anything at 5 years old to warrant this action. This has been your journey. Your life can be a testimony for someone else when the time comes. But right now, you've got to find your whys. You've got to find out why. You may never get the answer from that person if you don't confront the person. From what I hear, you don't want to confront the person because you never go around any family gathering. Do you feel that if you did, you think you'd cause harm or what? But maybe you need to address it. Then if not, if you're going to let it just stay gone and don't want to address it, don't go to any family gathering, which that's you shunning yourself from your own family. But why? It wasn't your fault. And if you don't want to address that person, then you've got to find some solutions for your sexual trauma and find a life for you where you're at peace. You are not at peace. You've got too many entities in your life right now that are causing turmoil and anger and bitterness in you. 1 minute you're happy and you're bubbling, you're making drinks and you're doing this and you're doing that and you're acting, but deep down on the inside, you're still torn apart. You've got to find a way that in spite of your sexual trauma, the abuse, to forgive others, forgive yourself, and let go of it. You are not letting it go. You're too angry to let it go. You've got to find a solution for you. for you to have peace. You said you're 31 years old.
Right.
Okay. And it's time now. You know that you're, what you call it, gay? I don't know. You know that you are. All right. People accept it. Some people don't accept it. If that's who you are, bump who don't accept it. Okay. You've got to move on with your life, or you're going to be in this turmoil till you get to be an old man.
Right.
And do you want to stay there?
No.
Okay. So if you don't want to stay there, that means you've got to get rid of your anger. You've got to confront somebody. You tried with your father, you said?
I did.
Okay. It did not work. You're not going to go back again, you say? Right?
I'm done.
All right. So now you've got to forgive it, forget it, and move on. You haven't done that. You're holding on to it with your dear life. It's like you want to hold on to that bitterness. But bitterness only makes you sick. If something happens to you, it don't do nothing but take away your life. It causes stress. It causes pain. Sleepless nights. When you start dwelling on it, you said that you were drinking, you with all kinds of men. That is not healthy for you. In no way, form, or fashion. I can only suggest that, first of all, you got to get rid of your anger. You're addressing it, your issues, but you're not addressing your issues. Were your name called? Did people call you names? It still goes on in your mind, doesn't it? The name calling. But are they calling you names now?
They still call me names.
Who?
People. Like, people in general.
What do you mean by people in general?
Like, if I'm with a friend, I may be
A
with
male friend?
No.
Okay.
A female friend.
Okay.
A best friend.
All right.
And like I'm going to a party or something like that. I've been told, why you bring that faggot around or something like that. Like, and I haven't even said anything to you. So, like, my thing is, like, just because I come with a friend and just because of my sexuality, you don't want me to come to your party. That's happened several times. I even had a friend to where her dad wouldn't even let me in her house because of his homosexuality.
Wow. All right.
Homophobia, I mean.
Okay,
But-
Antoine, you have a lot to do for you. Okay? You are not at a point of healing. The trauma everything, the sexual abuse, everything that you've dealt with is still here today. It's like you relive your 5-year-old self every time you go somewhere, and every time somebody says something, or somebody looks at you cross-eyed or whatever. You are reliving it every day, and you've got to find a solution, or you're not going to ever be happy with you.
Right.
You've got to accept that you are who you are. If you like men, that's on you. Be around people who love you for who you are and not for who they want you to be. But you've got to love yourself. You've got to forgive yourself, and you've got to forgive others. Otherwise, and I keep repeating it, your healing will not come. You've got to find a solution for yourself. The bitterness is all over you, all in you. But when you're out and about and you're laughing and talking and making drinks, you think that you have no care in the world. But sitting here talking to you makes me realize there's a long road ahead of you. But it's not impossible. It's possible to go through trauma, sexual trauma, or any type of trauma, and come out on the other side and be healed. And you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? So what are you going to do about it at this point, since we know you have anger? You are bitter. You have not forgiven anybody. I don't know if you've forgiven yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. You were a victim. What are you going to do at this point now, where you are, to move forward and live as who you are, Antoine Davidson, and be happy? So what are you going to do from this point on? What avenue, what journey are you going to take to get to where you really need to be?
Well, I can get counseling work,
Not I can.
I will.
Okay. I will get counseling,
Yes.
coaching, therapy, something.
Right.
I don't mean next month. I want you to pick up the telephone. Find somebody that you feel comfortable with to address your issues.
Right.
You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be who you are. You should not accept anybody's judgment of you. If you are comfortable in your skin, then the naysayers ought not to matter to you, but it does. You want to be accepted for who you are, but you seem to be around people who do not accept who you are. And you're going to have to get some thick skin, and no matter what they think of you, it's irrelevant. This is your life. This is your life to live your way. If you choose and you've decided that you are gay, then you need to be strong enough to do what you need to do for you. But it starts with therapy. It's fine that you're acknowledging this, but after talking to you, I realize there is so much anger and bitterness that we've got to find a solution. We've got to find somebody to talk to beyond this point. We've got to realize that you're a human being. Right. You deserve to be loved. When you are with other men, do you feel loved? Or is it just something to do?
Sometimes.
Sometimes what?
Sometimes I feel love, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just a no strings attached.
Do you like that?
No. I don't like no strings attached. I like to be in a relationship with somebody.
Okay.
But as of when you are a gay male, you are preyed on.
Meaning?
And when I say that, is that I don't do the approaching.
Okay.
I don't do approaching.
That's fine.
I can basically, I'm speaking my truth and stuff. So, download me. They can be in your inbox. They can be married. They'll send you a message. You don't even know they're married until later on. You done got in a full-blown relationship with this person and they have a wife and kids. You done fell in love with somebody that living a lie, but you free. But they preying on me, and I'm the bad person though.
Who says you're the bad person?
No, the wife or
the wives that found out about it.
It's been some wives that done found out about it, and and they give you money to keep your mouth closed.
Oh wow. Okay.
So you can't say no names.
How you feel when you take the money?
I don't want to take the money because it feels like you're prostituting, and
that's not what it was.
That's not what it was. Like I've never asked no guy for money.
Okay.
Because I make my own money.
Okay. But
they're just serious and they'll give you the money because they want you to keep your mouth closed. Yeah, you having a good time with them, but at the end of the night, that's not your man. That's the wife.
Okay. So you're in relationships with men who are just not serious. So you need to wait until that serious person comes? Mm-hmm. Is that what you're doing?
I'm single. Right now I don't want to. I may talk to you, but I don't want to be with you. Okay. I'm just, and then I ain't talking about sexual either.
Why you don't want to now?
Because I've been in. My trust is borderline thin.
Okay.
It's border, and I can't.
You need to, and this is just me, okay? Whether I'm a coach or whether I'm a minister, whatever, you need to find you. And all the things that I've said, from forgiving yourself, forgiving others, getting rid of your anger. Antoine, you're going to self-destruct if you don't find solutions, if you don't find your healing. And that concerns me because of the level of anger that you have when you talk about different things, even the encounters you've had with other men, there's anger and there's bitterness. And you're mad because they did X, Y, and Z or didn't tell you the truth or whatever. So starting from 5 years old, not going to the gatherings where a cousin still exists, you've never confronted that person, you have not forgiven that person, then you got issues with your father, you tried to talk, you didn't get any solutions there, you've had men in your life who've lied or whatever, weren't serious or pretended to be serious. You're bitter with that and angry with that. So you're a bundled ball of anger. Mm-hmm. And it comes across so real when you're even talking to me. It's almost like, and yes, I am. I really am. I'm pissed off. I'm mad. But to survive beyond 31 and live a life of some joy and some peace, you've got to have peace within yourself. You've got to have peace within yourself. Whatever it takes for you to have that peace, that's what you need to do. I don't mean later, I mean sooner. But you got to want it. You've got to look in the mirror and accept who you are. Really accept who you are. Don't just say it. Because sometimes I think you're just saying it. I am Antoine, and yes, I am gay. But I'm an angry person. And I want to find solutions to get past my anger. You got to be real. It's like you almost have to do an affirmation in the morning. Every morning you get up, I'm Antoine, and I want to find my solutions. I'm Antoine, and I want my healing. I'm Antoine, and I got to get beyond this. I'm Antoine, and I'm going to get some counseling. I'm going to get some coaching. I'm going to get some therapy. I'm going to forgive myself. I've got to learn to forgive others. You need to put an affirmation up where you say it every day that I'm going to forgive my perpetrator. I'm going to forgive him. You've got to forgive him. Mm-hmm. If you don't address it, you've got to forgive him. You've got to forgive your father. You've got to forgive all those people who don't let you in their houses because of your sexuality. You come to my house. It don't bother me because I'm not here to judge. I'm here to help. I'm here to be a blessing. And the people who love you want to do that too. Surround yourself around people who are genuine about you while you go through your healing process. And I'm very, very serious. Right. I'm very serious, and I really, really, really want you to do this sooner than later. It troubles me to see where you are, and I never would have known that without talking to you. You're a bundle of, it seems like misery, but you walk around and you smile, and you make drinks, and you act. Yeah. And you really just want to cry.
Because I've been a private person, and I never.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're doing this.
Right.
Okay, why?
Because I want to spread awareness.
Awareness of what? But then at the end of the awareness, you need to be able to say, I'm healed of this.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. At the end of this, after all of this, and it comes out to the whole world, you're going to need to be able to say that I'm working on me.
And I am working on me. And I am going to start.
Okay.
And I will.
Because I see bitterness. I see anger. And it troubles me. Okay?
Right.
If you ever need to talk to me, you know my number.
I do.
You've used it.
Yes.
Call me.
I will.
Because I want something totally different for you in your life. A life that you deserve. A whole new journey for Antoine Davidson.
Right.
Go for it. I'm praying about your healing, okay? God bless you. I love you.
Love you too.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for joining us for this documentary of sexual trauma. I would like to say this. You can heal from trauma and restore your life after abuse. My mission as a life coach, as a minister, or intent is simple: to help people heal and restore after childhood abuse or neglect, and truly learn how to accept and love themselves fully. Not partially, but fully. Each of us is a unique person with a unique journey and our own divine timing of when we feel ready to reclaim our birthright to live an empowered, loving, wholehearted life. The bottom line is that no matter what trauma you've been through in life, we all need to be our authentic selves, and we all deserve love. And so I just want to say, may everyone be blessed, and we appreciate you taking the time out for this documentary.